This conference will now be recorded.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, I hereby announce that adequate notice of this meeting as required by said act has been provided by adopting a schedule of regular meetings for the year 2022, which schedule was posted on the Borough Hall Bulletin Board as well as the Borough website and forwarded to both the South Jersey Times and the Sentinel of Gloucester County and filed with the Borough Clerk on January 7th, 2022.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wallace,
Here.
Mr. Casabone,
Present.
Mr. D'Alessandro,
Here.
Mr. Fiola, I'm looking, I'm sorry.
Ms. Miller is joining as well, so.
Okay. Mrs. Spence,
Here.
Mr. Melandro,
Here.
Mr. Scafidi,
Here.
and Mr. Brunemer.
Here. Thank you, Karen. Is there any questions in regards to the bill list? Okay, hearing no questions on that. We have a couple of agenda administrator updates. I'm just going to pick these at random right now. The first is council meeting status. The mayor and I have had a conversation. We are going to go back in person. We are seeing a large reduction in the number of positive COVID tests at this point. I looked at the number, you may all have seen it. Our last number was 7. For a while, we were up in the 60s per day. So we will go back to our in-person council meetings. I just think it's much easier. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to jump to number 4 on this one. This is the quote for signage. At a meeting several months ago, Mr. Johnson's family had approached us about dedicating Union Street. I've reached out to Mr. Johnson. I've spoken to him. We are having signs made up. We are having 3 signs made up that we will put on Union Street. The signs are going to cost about $1,000. I think we are going to need a resolution for that. Karen, Tim, is that correct? Karen Passione or Karen Cosgrove, either one?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, we just wanted to alert you all that we will be spending that money for the signs. There will be signs on both ends of the block, and we will give the veteran's family, the deceased veteran's family, a copy of the sign. And then we'll have to form a small committee and decide when we want to make the dedication of the street. Any questions on that?
What are different about these signs? Can you show us a mock-up of those?
Yeah, the issue with the signs is they're actually there's 6 different signs, because you have in memory of, or Clark, I forgot what it's going to actually say.
In honor of.
In honor of. So you have in honor of, and then another sign will be Mr. Johnson's name. So there's 2 at one end, 2 at the other end, and the 2 we give him. And they will have, Clark, correct me if I'm wrong, his affiliation of which branch of the military he was in, correct?
It'll have, the top sign will say in honor of and his name with the Army seal. And then the bottom of the sign just says Union Street.
So it's all one sign with all that on the one sign? Or is it 3 signs?
It's 2 signs in honor of, I think it's Richard Johnson, and the Army seal will be the top sign, and below that it'll be Union Street.
Okay.
So we're remaking the Union Street sign so that the sizes match and they look like they go together.
Okay.
And
Can everyone hear me, by the way? I want to make sure I'm on. I couldn't get on my Chromebook.
Yep. We can hear you, Anthony.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to see me also?
No, can't see you.
Okay.
So we just wanted to make sure that everyone was okay with the expenditure. Clark, we could put the PO through tomorrow, and we should have the signs within 2 weeks. So Councilman Casabone, I'll probably be reaching out to you and possibly Councilwoman Spence to decide what we want to do in regards to a dedication of the street to Mr. Johnson, well-deserved dedication.
Okay, so now if I can ask the question here. So now if we do to other veterans like this, we're talking about two signs, a sign that says in honor of and a sign that has his branch with his name. Is that correct?
Yes,
So then will they be?
I think the only difference, excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
I think the only difference would be is if the street is named after the individual,
right.
then it would just be the street
Right.
name with the branch of service.
Right. The reason I'm asking this is then if that's the case, say we honor a street, you're going to have to put a sign on one end of the street and a sign on the other end of the street. So then that we're looking at, once we do this, we're looking at about $1,000 because if the sign isn't the same as the regular street sign that we're putting it on, we're going to have to redo all three, correct?
Correct.
So we're looking,
Yes.
so in other words, when we do this for somebody else, we can assume $1,000.
Correct.
Okay.
That's only for streets that we wouldn't name specifically for the veteran anyway, right?
Right. Yeah. If it's a new street in, we can name it after a veteran. It's only one sign. But if we want to do that to honor, say, if somebody passes away on their street, we want to put in honor of, then we're talking about $1,000.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Chief Palillo, I see you're on mute and I don't see your picture. Are you on?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you. So Councilwoman Spence had approached us several months ago about a traffic study on Pennsylvania Avenue. That has come back, and I thought that Chief Palillo could give his report on that right now.
So we've had previous complaints over on Pennsylvania Road about, because it's a cut through for a lot of people. So we put the traffic counter out between, it was 4-week, 12/16, the 16th of December to the 23rd of December. The speed came back to be in the 85th percentile for speed, which was 35 miles per hour and above. What that basically means is it's a medium enforcement rating. Posted speed limit there is 25 miles an hour. And the enforcement speed limit that we saw during this week period was 36 miles per hour and up. Approximately 4,138 vehicles traveled through that area during that week. So the person, I guess, that was asking, and we've been asked before about putting speed humps out there, and this is I think this is the second survey we've done, which pretty much fell in the same, I guess, the same area with the medium enforcement rating. During this time, there were some vehicles that did approach the speed limit of 65 miles per hour on that road. It does raise some concerns because there's so many side streets that meet up with that. I talked with Mark Brunemer and talked with Ed about some possible solutions other than speed humps, and Mark had mentioned possibly a stop sign somewhere in the midst of that roadway, but I don't know how that would work out either. So that's, the report reflects that there's a lot of traffic going through there and that the vehicles are traveling over the 25 mile an hour speed limit. Is it excessive? Probably not in the area of 50 plus miles an hour, but definitely within the 35 to 50 mile range.
Just a quick question. The time period that you did this study, I don't know when the previous one was done, but aren't the students gone during this break period? I mean, not that it would make that much of a difference because I know it's only a certain time of the year that students are here and driving, but do you think that would change the data significantly enough not that I want you to do another study, but what are your thoughts on that?
It might change the data a little bit. And yeah, they were typically gone through that time period. if the data, if we put it out there during, I mean, we could always do another one, but I think you got to look at the, you know, the week period and say, at the end of the day, it's a medium enforcement. Something needs to be done. We need to do some type of remediation out there, whether it's a stop sign or we throw a speed hump or two out there. It's really just comes down to that being the question, because the police department's been out there, I know, for the last 2 years, numerous times, just running enforcement and presence related things. And it's, you know, we can't be there all the time. However, when we are there, it does make an impact. But, you know, I have spoken with a lot of the residents out there, and there still is a concern because of the side streets.
So John, is it your recommendation to, it sounds like what I'm hearing is you believe we need something. Speed humps have been working for us. Is it your recommendation maybe to work along with Mark, if you haven't already, and find possible locations for the speed humps?
If we're willing to make that investment, yes. I liked Mark's idea of the stop sign. It would be a placement, I guess we talked about, somewhere near Georgetown Road on Pennsylvania. So that would make that intersection a four-way stop. Still will complicate things because it's going to take some time for people to understand that they have that four-way stop versus the speed humps. If they hit them and they see them, and we, you know, that kind of will slow them down. So it's really just basically, you know, we could go either way. The speed humps are probably the better way to go. It's just more a little bit, I guess the cost is there, and I don't know exactly what that is. Mark would probably be able to speak on that.
Mark, you're saying a stop sign, Mark? That don't sound like you, Mark.
We were going over a couple different options over there as far as how to control the speed. As the chief had mentioned, the speeds actually weren't as high as I thought they'd be. I thought that we'd have a worse situation out there, but like he's mentioned, there was a fair amount of those above around 35, 40, 45. But you know, after that, there were only you know, a handful at a really high speed. But here again, college students there, so that may have an impact on that. So yeah, given the alternatives and that stuff, the road's pretty wide for that. So it kind of gives the impression when you're driving, you have all kinds of space to work with. One of the simpler items that I came up with is just put a double yellow line down through there, and visually that narrows the road. So if someone's parking on that, that helps narrow it. But that's just probably the most economical way of doing it. The other one is a stop sign, but as Chief, when we were talking about, you know, is one going to be enough versus two, you know, and trying to break that up on a 5-block basis is a little bit more awkward. And the third one would be the speed humps. Public Works could put those in, not to volunteer them, but they've done a couple. They did the ones on High Street, West High Street for us on those, and that could be incorporated there, and putting those in, yeah, at least 2, maybe 3. To help give it, you need to have enough separation, because after they're done with the speed humps, they just hit the gas and start, you know, gearing up to start doing their normal thing down the road. So, Mike, one question there. I haven't had a chance to talk to Steve Smith. I don't know how much that road's used for emergency services. By putting, you know, 3 speed humps out there, that's going to impact their response time and travels through there. I don't know the frequency or how many times they're going to be out there in those areas each month. That would be an impact on their trucks and response time.
Well, it's definitely going to impact the police department if we put the speed humps out there, for sure.
Right.
How many people have complained about the speed over there?
I've been getting, at least since 2019, I've spoken to probably about 10 residents out there that live right on the corners of those side streets in Pennsylvania, and they all say that it's just nonstop. But you know, we do enforcement out there. We're out there pretty often.
There is enforcement going on out there, John?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been out there on a regular basis, and especially, you know, when we monitored it, when the residents were complaining, we tracked the numbers of calls for service that were hit. The calls for service were there, but it seems like they want more.
Were the people issued tickets or just the warnings?
I'm sorry?
Were they issued tickets or just warnings, John?
A mixture of both. The residents are really, from what I can tell, speak with them, they want a more permanent solution, but you know, it's just, what's that going to be? You know, I forgot to mention what Mark said about the double yellow line. I mean, that probably would work too, because then it forces you to stay in your lane. So.
If I may, having lived on Pennsylvania Road and on the corner for a great number of years, I can appreciate what the residents on Pennsylvania are saying, and it's interesting that the ones that are really complaining are the ones on the corner, because one of the issues too is that on the side streets, a lot of the drivers don't honor the stop signs anyway. But I know, like Chief Polillo said, we've done traffic studies down Pennsylvania. I know twice since I can recall, and pretty much the same report has come back. But you're going to have the same issue. You have the same issue on Deptford as well. And I know people have been complaining about that. And I don't know if there is a true solution to that problem. I know that's what we're dealing with, but just to give you a little bit more insight, I know having lived on a corner on Pennsylvania for a great number of years, it is an issue, one that warrants something, but like you said, I don't know if the speed hump is going to be that solution or something a little less invasive. Is that the right word? But just
The constituent that complained about this initially to me had a couple really, I thought, good suggestions about just extra striping, like he was more concerned where people don't seem to want to stop when they get to university because they're coming down. So maybe the striping idea to start out with would not be a bad thing, and then monitor it and see how it goes before you do anything like a stop sign or a speed hump.
Well, first thing they usually do is enforcement before you even get to all that stuff, Danielle. And if enforcement's not happening, they're not going to slow down or stop signs. I don't know if them stop signs are all legal in the ridge anyway, so I don't know. I'm not going to go down that route. But I'm just afraid that there's going to be speed hump on every road in the ridge. That's all.
Yeah, that's one of the concerns. That's a good point, Joe. I mean, if we put speed humps here, are they just going to turn over and start traveling Yale and Harvard and the other side streets to bypass those? Because what we found in other towns and other communities, when you put it on this, and here again, this is a major thoroughfare for the ridge.
Mm-hmm.
This is and that's the way it was designed for all the people to get to this point, so they can quickly get over to university and then either get out to 322 or Girard or go downtown. So that it's serving its purpose, but unfortunately with that, you tend to have the increased speeds with that. So we also discussed creating bump outs on the corner as far as the trying to soften that impact and the visual impacts to slow the traffic down. But the one problem we have out there would be the drainage. We create those islands, those bump outs, and we pretty much trap the water there. And in doing that, then you're going to have an impact with it's going to cost. The costs are going to increase because now you have the curb work and do that. Now you have to pipe it some fashion for those. So it's not quite as appealing as far as to get the work done. But yeah, if they're not stopping and they're getting tickets, then yeah, that's another matter.
I don't understand where they're going to down that street. I'm looking at a map right now. Are they all people that live over there?
Joe, I know a lot of people come off Ellis down New York and straight through Pennsylvania to get down to Whitney and that way. That's where, that's the cut through that a lot of people use.
Gotcha. All
Yep.
Right. That's all.
Yep.
I'll make one suggestion real quick.
Sure.
Yep. I know I'm a few minutes late to the party, but this is something I brought up previously to Administrator Briganti when he was still around. I don't know whether anything got looked into or not. I'm not trying to add more complications to this suggestion, but can we look into possibly closing off Pennsylvania and Girard's access into University Boulevard and having them come off of Princeton Road instead? Meaning if you're coming from Depot Road on Pennsylvania towards the apartments and the railroad tracks, you'd have to make that soft left on the Princeton, and then you come out to a 90-degree intersection on University Boulevard, as opposed to that crazy 5-point roads where everybody's coming at all which ways and blowing stop signs and cutting across people in front of University Boulevard. Similar to Mayor Wallace, having lived on the Ridge for almost my entire life and on University Boulevard, I've been in countless near accidents at that intersection with people pulling out from Girard Road on either side. You know, it seems like a relatively minor fix and possibly even minor in nature as cost if we just kind of blocked off the way coming from Girard Road each way. Obviously, that's a Mark and a Chief Polillo answer to this question, but I mean, still allowing people to come from the center of town and to access Pennsylvania and Girard is fine. But as far as accessing University Boulevard, it should be off of Princeton Road, in my opinion, from having lived there a long time and seeing lots of problems and accidents in that area.
Okay, if I may suggest, we'll take this back, Mark, the chief, myself, with Councilman Halter's suggestion, with the striping suggestion, and Councilman D'Alessandro's questioning about are we enforcing out there, and then come back with a recommendation on what we're going to do, if that's okay with mayor and council.
Sounds good.
Sure,
That's
thank
fine.
you.
As long as
Okey-doke.
that blocking it off doesn't mess up with the parade.
Okay, we have one other administrator update, and we had a request for handicap parking at High and Ellis Streets. And I'm going to turn this one over to Clark, who, I mean, there's some concerns with doing this. Basically, we're going to be losing a number of spaces. And Clark, you know this better than anyone, so if you could update mayor and council, that would be great.
Yep, and I'm sure if I say anything that's too off base, Mark will correct me. But we had a resident up on High Street near Ellis that has requested a handicap spot be put in front of her house. The original request, I think, was that it be a reserved handicap spot, and we know we can't reserve parking. But to put in a handicap spot in a parallel zone, we would have to do something similar to the handicap spot that is right by the municipal building, where we would actually have to configure a little cutout into the sidewalk for the parking spot. When you do parallel parking handicap, there has to be that accessibility space between the door out of the vehicle and the lane of travel. And we don't have the width on High Street to just say, okay, here's the parking, and then you've got an additional 5 feet before the lane of travel. So it would involve actually cutting into the sidewalk. Then you have a normal 25-foot length of a parking spot becoming closer to 40 feet. And then you have to have the area for visibility on either end of that to get in and out of the parking spot. So we would probably lose 3 parking spots at that end of the road. I kind of looked at the drawings that we had when we created the no parking area and lined all the parking spots. And with the number of driveways at that end of High Street by Ellis, we may not even have the space between driveways to create that little bump in handicap parking area. So I guess the result is if the governing body wanted to put a handicap spot there, they would have to understand that they'd be losing more than 1 parking spot and spending more than just what it would cost to paint the spot blue and put some signage up.
Is it common to do a handicap parking spot for a resident as opposed to just a public parking area? I mean, am I getting that right? There's a resident that's requesting this for in front of their house?
The resident did request it for in front of their house. Obviously, if you were to create this handicap parking spot there, anybody could park there, as long as they were in a vehicle that was placarded as a handicap vehicle.
Well, does this resident have a driveway parking?
I'm not sure. I believe they do.
Yes, they have a driveway parking, but the concern was they have a disabled son, and when the van comes to pick their son up, sometimes there isn't any space there for the van to park to pick the sun up. So that's where the concern or the request came from.
Yeah. I did a lot of work on that.
But then, like you say, if we made it a handicap spot, there, who's to say that someone else's handicap isn't parked in that space when the van were to come to pick their son up? So they still wouldn't have access.
Correct.
Creating a handicap spot isn't really solving their problem.
Correct. There's no guarantee, even with the handicap spot, that that will be available. And I know, Ms. Miller, this was a constituent who came to you in regards to this request. So we may have to give her that, unfortunately, give her that news. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's all I had. Administrator updates. Mayor Wallace, I know you want to add one very quickly, you said?
Yes, if I may, just wanted to give some information to everyone. The DEP reached out to us back in 2019 when that huge 600-year-old Salem oak toppled over. And what they did is they got seedlings from this tree and were distributing them to municipalities within the state. So I opted that we would like one or some, however they were going to give them to us. COVID hit, it got pushed back. We finally got notice. I heard from Joey Blandino and his crew that we are going to pick it up next month. And he asked me about where he would like, or where we thought we should get it planted. I deferred to him because he knows things, that kind of stuff a lot better than me, and probably all of us. And he suggested, after going through a number of locations, most of them were at the parks, that the best place for it to thrive would be around the train station. And we thought that would be pretty apropos, and follow suit. It's in the right area. I believe it'll get all of the, like I said, it'll have its best chance to thrive. And I think it's only fitting to be in a historic area. So if anybody has any issues with that, please let me know. Other than that, that's what I would like to do, or he would like to do. We would like to do.
I think it's a great idea, as you probably all got a guess that I would think that. But I just want to be careful how big the seedling is, because I planted a seedling out there and the guys mowed it over with the mower. So we got to be really conscious of where we plant it.
They've been harvesting these for like we're going on 2.5 years now. So I'm sure it's sizable enough where it's not going to get run over by a lawnmower.
I think it's a great idea. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, thank you. And I'll pass that along to Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. At this point, I'd like to open the meeting. I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. If anyone would like to address mayor and council during this portion of the meeting, there will also be another portion when we begin the main meeting at 7 o'clock. The floor is open right now.
Hearing none, make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close. All in favor, state aye.
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 Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to have a motion for resolution 4722 that will allow this mayor and council to go into closed session to discuss ongoing contractual issues.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
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 Against? Ayes have it. We will be leaving this meeting. I will instruct everyone to turn at least their mics off at this point and go into the instructions for the close that you all received. Thank you.
amend the holiday schedule, I would just make
Okay, let's see who's all back. I think everyone's back. Karen, can you walk us through the resolution and the rest of the agenda kind of quickly? We got about 5-10 minutes at the most.
I sure can.
Thank
So we have the approval of the minutes of the reorganization meeting of January 7th, 2022. I have 3 communications on the agenda this evening. We have a letter of retirement from a gentleman, George Tornblom, who worked for the Highway Department from March 1992 to February of this year. We have a letter of retirement from Mike Dowd on the as communication. Again, that's January 1995 to February 2022. And I have a letter of resignation from Stephen Melchiori from Zoning Board of Adjustment. So I figured we could do all of those in one fell swoop of one motion would be good. Is that okay, Tim?
Absolutely. Yep. All good.
Okay, sounds good to me too.
Karen,
Then-
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me? I had to phone this in. I can't get through on my computer.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, you won't be able to see me, thank heavens, but I'm here.
Okay. Oh, Anthony labeled you there. Excellent. Thank you, Anthony. So then we have engineers report, I guess, because we're so crunched for time. Mark, do you need to talk about? He's good. We'll do it at the meeting. We have a handful of resolutions, and we have one resolution that we tabled for this evening, but it'll make a reappearance on the meeting for February 8th. So the first resolution we have for this evening is 4822, resolution authorizing execution of temporary construction access easement agreement between Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church and the Borough of Glassboro for Glassboro Landfill. Our tabled resolution is Resolution 4922 for this evening. So like I said, that'll make a reappearance on the meeting for the 8th. Then we have Resolution 5022, resolution authorizing refund of street opening performance guarantee to Heirloom Homes LLC in the amount of $750. Resolution 5122, resolution authorizing refund of tax payment overpayment upon the request of the tax collector. And this is for Block 91, Lot 3, Block 425, Lot 14.01, and Block 44, Lot 26. Resolution 5222, resolution authorizing memorandum of agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 108, and the Borough of Glassboro. And this is addressing paid time off for the police department. Resolution 5322, resolution approving participation with the state of New Jersey in a safe and secure communities program administered by the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. And this is to accept the award amount of $32,400. And the subaward period is from February 16th of 2022 to February 15th of 2023. Resolution 5422, resolution authorizing cancellation of checks over 6 months to Glassboro Municipal Court General account. We do this, I think, well, twice a year, over 6 months old. We do the Resolution 54 and 55 are both canceling checks. One is for the general court account and the other is for the bail account. Resolution 5622, resolution authorizing execution of collection, location, and local government unit, LGU, semi-annual report form for the Borough of Glassboro, and we do this twice a year as well. And the approval date would be February 1st, 2022. Resolution 5722, resolution authorizing assignment of agreement for disposal facility to Omni Group Nunc Pro Tunc, consent to transfer from Omni Recycling LLC to Omni Group. This is one of those resolutions where one company transferred to another company's name, and now we have to make our resolution. So we're doing business with the same company, they've just changed hands. But all the information within the contract remains the same. So those are your resolutions for this evening. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't.
Okay, great. We have one ordinance for introduction this evening. It's Ordinance Amending Bond Ordinance 20-07 of the Borough of Glassboro in the County of Gloucester, New Jersey. And this is water and sewer improvements. This is, Karen can probably explain better than I can.
So this ordinance is amending, we're amending the ordinance to accommodate the resolution that was tabled. There's one of our pump stations at Park Ave pump station is getting rehabbed, and the bids came in, they were way over our anticipated budget. We thought about going out again and possibly negotiating, but it didn't make any sense the way the prices have increased. So good thing the Fern Ave water tower had about $1.5 million left over. So we're going to take that money. We're going to add money to the pump station capital projects that CHIP requested for 2022 is going to be rolled into this amended ordinance. So that's what it's for. Any questions?
That's all we have, right? That's all we have tonight, and it is 6:57. So unless there's any questions, I know when we do these virtual, we close out of these with a resolution or a motion, rather. So if there's no other question.
I'm sorry. I thought if we're going right into the next meeting, we didn't have to do that.
I think we should, only because we got to start a new meeting.
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
Motion to close this portion?
I'll make a motion to close this portion.
Second.
I have motion and second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll see everybody in 2 minutes.
Can anyone hear me yet?
Tony, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, we're ready when you are.
Very good. Thank you, Karen. We're going to start the recording. Has that been started?
Yes,
Very
sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the regular meeting of Mayor and Council for January 25th, 2022 to order. Karen, could you please read the opening statement?
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, I hereby announce that adequate notice of this meeting, as required by said act, has been provided by adopting a schedule of regular meetings for the year 2022, which schedule is posted on the Borough Hall Bulletin Board, as well as the Borough website, and forwarded to both the South Jersey Times and the Sentinel of Gloucester County, and filed with the Borough Clerk on January 7th, 2022.
Thank you. Will we all rise to salute the flag, please?
Oh, great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of America, the republic, which stands
And one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty and justice for
all. Thank you. Karen, roll call, please.
Mayor Wallace,
Here.
Mr. Casabone,
Present.
Mr. Delisandro,
Here.
Mr. Fiola,
here.
Mr. Halter,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Here.
Mrs. Spence,
Here.
Mr. Melandro,
Here.
Mr. Scafidi,
Present.
Mr. Brunimer.
Here.
Very good. We have no public hearings this evening. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the reorganization meeting of January 7th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Spence, seconded by Councilwoman Miller. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Karen, any communications this evening?
Yes, Mayor, we have 2 letters of retirement, one from George Tornblum who worked for the Borough of Glassboro from March of 1992 to February of, or he will be working for the borough until February of 2022. We also have a letter of retirement from Michael Dowd, who worked for the Glassboro Police Department from January of 1995 until February of 2022. And I have a letter of resignation from Stephen Melchiori for the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
A motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Council President Casabone, seconded by Councilwoman Spence. All those in favor state aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll move to the committee reports and begin with Council President Casabone.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I do not have anything at this time.
Thank you, sir. Councilman D'Alessandro.
Yeah, Mayor, I have nothing this time.
Thank you very much. Councilman Fiola.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Nothing of note at this time.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Halter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All is well, nothing to report.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Miller.
Good evening, Mayor. Biddy basketball begins this Saturday, and on the 31st, they will begin taking registrations for track and field and also spring soccer. And that's all I have.
Very nice. Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Spence.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing for this evening.
Thank you very much. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business. So I will ask for the engineer's report, Mark, please.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a couple brief updates. Things are quiet over the Bonesaw. They're busy working on the interior of the building, getting that fixed up. The High Street townhouses have gotten most all their improvements in. The roads are all base paved except for the entrances, which we had a meeting with the DOT today to get that resolved. They are looking to have their first units done, ready for sale by early April. You'll see those being built right now. So that's underway, and their model will be coming up shortly thereafter. Linking housing project also along Ellis Street is underway. They have several buildings there. We're working with them, coordinating with their contract managers as far as to get them moving, but at the same time, they got to maintain their access roads. So we're going to be working with them over the next couple of days to get that all solidified so we have safe access for fire, emergency, and the code office and anyone else going into and out of the site. And last but not least, for the Camelot Phase 3 Section 1 townhouses, the 94 townhouses, silt fence has been going up and water main starts tomorrow. So they're actually starting to break ground. That water main will be part of the Section 1 items. So that'll be going underway. They will be making a connection over Grand Boulevard of the Camelot development, but that's still a month or more away. Once we get a closer date, we'll coordinate with the HOA staff there. But you will start seeing more construction activity out there, conditions from weather being permitting. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mark.
Actually, I have one item left.
Yes,
We
sir.
set the last final comments up for Charles III Drive at DOT. We should hopefully have their blessing. So Tim, I don't know if we need an authorization to go out to bid since it's part of our contract, but if we do, I'd like to get a motion to put the project out to bid, and we'll coordinate the dates with Ms. Cosgrove to get that finalized so we can get the bids back in here upon receipt of the DOT authorization.
I don't see any harm, Mark, taking action, whether we need it or not. At least we'll have accomplished it. So if there's a motion to authorize the clerk to go out to bids for that project, would council so move?
Move for the engineer's recommendation on approval.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Halter, seconded by Councilman Fiola. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Is that
Thank
it,
you.
Mark?
That
All
is
right,
all.
thank you very much, sir. Any other questions for Mark? Thank you again, sir. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to our borough solicitor.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening on our consent agenda, we have the following resolutions, beginning with Resolution 48. authorizing execution of temporary construction access easement agreement between Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church and the Borough of Glassboro for the Glassboro Landfill Solar Project. Resolution 49 is being tabled this evening. No action will be requested. Move on to Resolution 50. Resolution authorizing refund of street opening performance guarantee, Heirloom Homes LLC. Resolution 51, authorizing refund of tax payment overpayment. Resolution 52, authorizing memorandum of agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 108, and the Borough of Glassboro. Resolution 53, approving participation with the state of New Jersey in a safe and secure communities program administered by the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. Resolution 54, authorizing cancellation of checks over 6 months old to the Glassboro Municipal Court General Account. Resolution 55, authorizing cancellation of checks over 6 months old to the Glassboro Municipal Court Bail Account. Resolution 56, authorizing execution of collection location and local government unit LGU semi-annual report form for the Borough of Glassboro. And Resolution 57, authorizing assignment of agreement for disposal facility to Omni Group Pro Tunk. They are our resolutions this evening on the consent agenda as noted or as outlined on the agenda, with the exception of Resolution 49, which will be tabled. Approval would be for 48 and 50 through 57 if so moved.
I'll make a motion
Move for
to
approval.
second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Fiola, seconded by Councilwoman Spence. Karen, roll call, please.
Mr. Casabone,
Yes.
Mr. D'Alessandro,
4.
Mr. Fiola,
4.
Mr. Halter,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
4.
Mrs. Spence.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And Mayor, we have one ordinance this evening on first reading by title only, that being ordinance 22-04, and ordinance amending bond ordinance 20-07 of the Borough of Glassboro in the County of Gloucester, New Jersey. Purposes for water sewer improvements, Park Avenue Pump Station Rehabilitation Project. Council moves for introduction this evening by title only. Roll call vote.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Fiola, seconded by Councilman Halter. Karen, roll call, please.
Mr. Casabone,
Yes.
Mr. D'Alessandro,
4.
Mr. Fiola,
4.
Mr. Halter,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
4.
Mrs. Spence.
Yes.
Motion carries. And before I move to entertain a motion for the public portion, I'd like to read a brief statement regarding the public portion as we are virtual. We will now move to open this meeting for public comment. Please be advised that immediately following the motion, all lines will be administratively unmuted. If you wish to provide comment, please render your intent by stating your name and place of residence, and then confirm that mayor and council are able to hear you clearly before proceeding. If you are unable to be heard, please ensure that your phone is not physically muted. You may also control whether your phone is muted or unmuted by the teleconference system by dialing *6 on your telephone keypad. Again, that's *6 to mute or unmute your line via the teleconference system. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to open the meeting up to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
You have a motion by Council President Casabone, seconded by Councilwoman Spence. All those in favor state aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The floor is now open to anyone from the public who wishes to address mayor and council.
Hi, my name is Kelly Tamburello. I'm at 32 Dogwood Avenue in Glassboro. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Kelly, we can.
I have, I'm a member of Transition Town Glassboro, and we have created a petition that I would like to share with you. I have some signatures myself, and I believe Mary Lee Donahue also has some signatures for the same petition. But let me read it to you. We, the undersigned, petition the Borough of Glassboro to establish by building or renting an appropriate space, a community center for the residents of Glassboro. Unlike many nearby towns, Glassboro has no community center in which residents can hold group meetings of organizations, clubs, and political groups. The Glassboro Library has only one small meeting space and is difficult to reserve it. Restaurants are too loud and don't welcome groups unless everyone purchases food. Churches and the VFW charge for the use of their spaces. The residents of Glassboro need a facility with multiple meeting room spaces of various sizes, which can be reserved through the borough without payment of a fee or obtaining liability insurance, which costs hundreds of dollars. It would not necessarily have to be a standalone building, but it would need to be a dedicated space that is open in the evenings and on weekends. And I have on my page 23 signatures. I can share a PDF with you. I don't know how that works on this format, but I can send it to you that way if you can explain me how to do that.
Ms. Tamburello, thank you very much for sharing that. I do not know how to share it through this format. My suggestion to you would be to send it to the borough, either through the clerk's office or my office, and we can direct it to where it needs to get to.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there are no other members of the public that wish to comment, I'll make the motion to close the public portion of this meeting tonight.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Halter, seconded by Councilwoman Spence. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. The public portion is now closed. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve all duly authorized bills.
Move that all duly authorized bills be paid.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Fiola, seconded by Council President Casabon. All those in favor state aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Any closing comments from our borough administrator?
The only thing I'd like to say, Mayor, is I am ecstatic that we are seeing our developments happening in Camelot and on High Street, and your vision and council to create more density is coming to fruition. So we're off to a very good start with that. As we all know, we got to bring families back to Glassboro. So it was nice to hear the engineer's report on that. That's all the comments I had.
Thank you very much. I would just like to welcome all those that have joined our meeting virtually. I'd like to thank you all for being here. For those that shared their comments, thank you very much. I wish everyone to stay healthy, warm through this brisk cold weather. And echoing the comments of Mr. Melandro, they were very nice, and to keep Glassboro moving forward is our mission. Thank you. And with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion on the floor by Council President Casabon, seconded by Councilwoman Spence. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Have a good evening, everyone. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 8th, 2022. That will be at Borough Hall live and starting at 6:30. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good night,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Big Cat.